So it's July 2011, and I am coaching at a tech event in Las Vegas. And to my delight, there is a beautiful, tall, dark, and handsome German man in the front row. And we have been flirting all week, but he is a participant and I am a coach. So nothing can happen, of course, until the conference is over. And it's the last night, and we're all out at the bars in Vegas, and we find each other. And he buys me a drink, and there's music, and so we start dancing, and eventually we're kissing in this warm embrace, and we're having a really great time. But we both have roommates, so nothing can really progress beyond that. And we kind of laugh and chuckle at each other and say, oh, you know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And we go our separate ways. He's back to Europe and me back to the East Coast where I was living at the time. And I think that's it. It's a great, fun night story. A couple days later, I got a call from the company, and they asked me to help manage one of the Facebook groups of the upsell that they had created to help these people with ongoing support from the conference. And lo and behold, my German man is in this group. And so we start Facebook messaging each other, and he tells me how inspired he was by my story and how open he felt with me, and he'd been so closed off up until that point, and I think he's like this really open and honest guy. And I start telling him more about my life, and he responds to every element of it, and I think he's a really great listener. And so we start having Skype dates, and he tells me how beautiful I am, and I'm really starting to fall for this guy. And this goes on for a couple of months. Finally, he says, Molly, I just need to see you. I'm going to come to the States. We need to hang out. And like this huge grin lights up across my face because I'm like, I have just manifested an international booty call. Life goals, check. So, but we don't call it that. We call it a vacation. And we decide to spend a week together in Boston, the historic city. And so he buys his tickets to come, and I start looking at Airbnbs. And I'm hemming and hawing, like, should I get the one Airbnb that has a king-size bed? Or should I get the other Airbnb that has 2 double beds? I go for the king-size bed. But now we're about 3 weeks away from him coming, and he has to go to another conference that he'd already signed up for months ago. This conference is in India. I'm still on the East Coast. Time zones are tough. I know he's going to have like 10-hour days at this conference. Our Skype dates are not going to be able to happen. But we've got our Facebook messaging, so I'm thinking this is okay. We've been sort of dating for a couple of months now. It should be cool. And we Facebook message a lot while he's at the conference. But then the last night, he messages me and he says, I signed up for the VIP package. I get to stay for an extra few days with the leaders to learn some more. I'm going to be here another week. And I'm like, oh, another week? I'm like, you're going to be here in Boston in like 2 weeks. But, you know, I'm trying not to be like the clingy girl who is having this pseudo relationship with this guy from across the world. So I'm like, oh, go for it. Congratulations. And then the Facebook messages stop. And I don't hear from him at all. And the whole week goes by. And I'm starting to freak out. But I keep telling myself, he bought the tickets to Boston. He's coming. We were all excited. We've been together a couple months now. It's going to be okay. About 4 days before he is supposed to come, he sends me a Facebook message, and the deceit is just dripping from this message. He starts out by telling me that there was no VIP upgrade, that he had met another girl at this conference, and that they had stayed an extra week and spent it together in India. And that this girl is actually also from the States, and she's from New York. And so he does still want to use his tickets to Boston, but he wants to see her. And because now it's only a few days before our event, our vacation, our Airbnb is now no longer refundable. So he's the nice guy and says he'll take it off me if I can transfer it to me. Now, of course, I'm floored, jaw drop, but this man who I thought knew me inside and out and understood everything that was going on in my life and listened so well and thought I was beautiful, turned out to be the biggest scumbag. And, but I don't want to lose any money on him, not worth it. So I call up the Airbnb host and I tell her I need to transfer this, and she's like, what happened? And I tell her the whole story, and she goes, my husband has twin-size beds in our basement. I'm gonna take out the king-size bed and put in the twin-size ones. And that buoys me up so much that I am able to recall that I need to always keep the sage advice that what happens in Vegas should stay in Vegas. Thank you.